The very first time that you try enabling dynamic subdivision, you're going to get this pop-up that shows up. Would you like to activate dynamic subdivision instead? And to show you what this really does, let's say with dynamic subdivision turned off, we go all the way to the lowest subdivision possible, and then we delete higher. And if you're looking for that, you're going to find it right here. You've got delete lower, delete higher. You can lower the subdivision and higher the subdivision resolution. So now we've got this, right? And we press D and we choose yes. Oh, yeah, you can definitely see there is a massive difference in what we were getting before. And if you press Shift D, you can disable the dynamic subdivision whenever you want. You can also find it right here on geometry, dynamic subdivision, and this, if you press this, it's going to enable it. But it's very important that you remember one simple fact. Dynamic subdivision is not actual geometry. And what that means is if we try to sculpt an alpha, we're going to get a very unpleasant result, because in reality, this is actually the real geometry that we're sculpting on. So it's very important that you remember it's not actual geometry. But if we actually disable dynamic subdivision and we use real subdivision, i.e. like this, by actually subdividing the geometry, which you can do right here on under geometry, divide, and you've got those settings right here. So with the real geometry, this is what it's actually supposed to look like with a poly count of 1.4 million, which you can see right there. That's the result that you're supposed to get, because this is actually changing the density of the geometry itself. Now, something else that you have to keep in mind is I want you to take a look at these two files over here, and the difference is going to become very apparent to you in a minute. If we come up here, we've got this file over here and we've got this other file, but if you look at the file sizes, if you look at this one is 868 megabytes and this one is 626 megabytes. That's because the other one is using actual geometry and the other one is using dynamic subdivision. So if you're trying to save on file space, then you don't want to use real geometry. Like, the only difference between those two files is that this part of the armor, this chest area right here, is actually just dynamic subdivision, while that other file is using actual geometry. And that is the cause of the 200 megabyte increase in file size. And you cannot use alphas with dynamic subdivision. So when you look at this detail that I've crafted onto the armor using alphas, you cannot do that with dynamic subdivision. You have to use real geometry by going down to geometry and dividing it. You cannot use dynamic subdivision to do that. But something else that I want to show you is when we go here to this character and we look at the head and the helmet, you can actually see that there's this like strap that I made at the back there. And if you want to know how I was able to make that, this video that's on screen right now will show you exactly how I was able to do it.